Good morning, Bitcoins. Today is Friday, May 9th, 2025. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the World Crypto Network. Today, we're celebrating the 8th birthday of CURIO Cards, the little startup that started 8 years ago today when Travis and I launched the first CURIO Cards. Apple followed quickly by Nuts and Berries with the help of Rhett, who wrote all of the smart contracts and the code, Rhett Creighton. Travis, myself, let's start by playing this fantastic video they produced called The Story of CURIO Cards. It's quite an amazing little history of what's been happening lately with CURIO Cards. Let's check it out.
History's greatest tales have unexpected triumphs.
A historic NFT collection on sale at Christie's today. A set of CURIO Cards, digital collectibles.
To falter, then fade away into oblivion. Forgotten, like ancient art made by some nameless soul. And then be found again, resurrected and hailed on the art world's ultimate stage. That's the greatest form of comeback. That's the greatest history. That's the CURIO Cards tale. It was written on the blockchain, May 9th, 2017. Travis Ulrich, Thomas Hunt, and Rhett Creighton. The community, the marketing, the development came together in San Francisco and made the first art show on Ethereum. 30 cards by 7 artists, none of whom knew each other, each with a different style. Philippe, Crypto Graffiti, Crypto Pop, Robeck World, Daniel Friedman, Marisol Vengas, and Thoros of Mia. The show launched 1 month before CryptoPunks, before NFTs had a name. Thousands upon thousands of cards released in smart contract vending machines. But because they were new technology, nobody saw the bigger picture. Nobody bought CURIO cards. Nobody valued the art. Only 4 years later did people realize CURIO cards were the most prized assets on Ethereum. Because of their unique art history, only after this rediscovery did CURIO cards become the top-selling art collection on OpenSea. Collect CURIO cards and unravel its layers, the sets, the stories, the community. Preserved for 1,000 years in the Arctic World Archive, auctioned at Christie's and Sotheby's within the same month, treasured by over 5,000 collectors including Daryl Morey and Gary Vee. Only 111 full sets will ever exist.
320 Ethereum, sold with you 3338. Thank you very much.
Which history will you own? Go to curio.cards to begin.
What an amazing video. It gets better every time I watch it. As the video said, the CURIO Cards collection was featured at Christie's auction house on October 1st, 2021 as part of the post-war to present sale. A full set of 30 cards plus the misprint 17B were sold for 393 Ethereum, worth $1.267,320 at the time. The highest total with 145% above the low estimate. Here's the page they featured us on Christie's website. Also, CURIO cards were featured in the Wikipedia, where we now have our own entry defining the cards and giving more information and links to the cards. And of course, the webpage curio.cards, which is a great place to check out CURIO cards, which were released on this day 8 years ago. It's pretty amazing. 4 years ago, CURIO cards were rediscovered. 4 years before that, they were created. So we're as far away from the rediscovery as the rediscovery was from the creation. I want to welcome Travis Ulrich, one of the co-creators of CURIO cards. How's it going, Travis? Welcome to the show.
Really good. Thanks for the incredible intro. I didn't realize that. I've been, we're the same distance away as, yeah, that's great. So the rediscovery is the halfway point now.
Yep, we're halfway there. We're also joined by some of the artists from the Curio Cards project. Luis Buenaventura, welcome to the show. Luis, how's it going?
Hey guys, very happy to be here. It is 9 in the morning here in Manila. You were saying that it was very warm in your studio. It is very warm in this entire country. It's a struggle just having a shirt on, but I will power through somehow.
I feel the same way. This is a wool suit and a warm room in Las Vegas where the air conditioning upstairs is not functioning. So we're also joined by Max Infeld, Marisol Vengus, another artist from the Curio Cards project. How's it going, Max?
Oh man, so good to be here. Things are really good, and I think heat must be a theme. It is bizarrely hot up here and coming from you live in Northern California. So yeah, great to see all of you guys.
We're also joined by Etheread, creator of the Curio Cards physical cards project, which I was just showing someone this morning, has a really impressive AR feature where you can hover over the card with your phone and the Apple will pop out at you. It's incredible. I think we're going to talk more about that project, but Etheread, hopefully you can tell me you're in a cool location, unlike the rest of us.
I will break the trend. I am in a cooler location and not one of the artists, just a fan that's creating some things to say thank you to the project, as you taught me a lot about NFTs and smart contracts, and I think the art is cool. So thanks for having me.
That's very cool. It'd be great to have your perspective on this project as well. Someone that wasn't there 8 years ago, but can tell us what it looks like from the outside. So Travis, I guess I'll start with us. As we've talked about many times before, I think you, I, and Rhett met together in some kind of an old bank restaurant with our advisor, Rick Chan. And we talked in great deal about the project and decided to go towards collectibles. Obviously, Rhett was the programmer, the technological part of the project. Travis, you were helping with the community. I was helping with the marketing, but as in all early startups, everybody was doing everything. Everyone was helping out. And what do you remember, Travis, about the first video show where we launched apples, nuts, and berries?
Yeah, I mean, so we all met at the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup group, including where we met Luis and Crypto Graffiti. And wow, the videos, yeah, we would do was it New Cards Tuesday or New Cards Thursday?
Oh, it's Tuesday. Tuesday's a great day
Tuesday.
for cards and new movies too, I think, a lot of times.
Because like Wednesday's comic book day, right? So we had to get in ahead of them.
Absolutely. And you and I, with I think mainly Robeck and his friend Moon in the chat, and
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
nobody else. And we would
Well,
announce
Moon-
the cards and put the addresses up and say, hey, you can buy them now. They're $1 a piece. We think they're great.
They were like 25, 50 cents.
Oh, yeah,
They
we
weren't
had
even
some
$1.
early machine offerings. If you were there first, you could.
Yeah, there were some discounts if you got in early enough.
We call them blockchain collectibles or digital collectibles. NFTs was
Yep.
not a thing at all.
No, the only time people would use the word NFT was as a negative about Bitcoin not being fungible. It was not used as a positive of a special kind of asset class.
And it's interesting how it turned out. Rhett didn't put version numbers or card numbers on the cards. So Curio cards are actually fungible with each other. Any apple is equal to any other apple. You can't say my apple was earlier or later. And I think in a lot of ways, this has helped the market develop for Curio cards.
Yeah.
People out there buying apples, they're not saying, I have apples number one, it is the greatest.
Yeah, can you imagine? Because there's like 2,000 apples. Maybe 2,000 different listings on OpenSea. Incredibly complicated market. Instead, because they're like digital prints, it's like trading cards, right? Like Pokemon cards aren't labeled, baseball cards aren't numbered, and we can have one market on OpenSea for each card. The cards themselves are non-divisible and they're distinct from each other, but within themselves, it's almost like you're owning a fraction of the one apple. There's like one apple and there's 2,000 parts.
Well, and the non-divisibility was a big deal at the time. I recall saying I didn't want half a baseball card. I don't want a quarter of a baseball card. I want a whole one or nothing.
Doesn't make
at
any
all.
sense.
And
yeah,
technically, we even broke this website, Ether Delta, where you could kind of trade Curio cards if you kept your computer online and they had their computer online, and you were there at the same time, and you agreed on the price. I don't know that anyone ever traded a Curio card that way, but I certainly tried. But yeah, I heard that we broke their system because we were indivisible. We could not be a point
Yeah,
one Curio card.
they hadn't seen, they didn't expect a non-divisible token. I mean, Rhett made the contract himself. So if you sold someone like 0.51 of a card, the card would go through, but the money wouldn't, or like 0.49, then the money go through, but the card wouldn't. If it was at that 0.5 cutoff. Um, yeah, there was no OpenSea. There was no, I mean, MetaMask was barely a thing. We had to fork this wallet called, was it Ether Wallet?
It was called
Ethereum wallet. I don't remember what
My
it was.
Ether Wallet. Everything had
My
My
Ether Wallet,
these
Mew.
days.
Yeah.
And we had like
Yeah.
a My Curio Wallet. And one of the big
Yep.
problems for us back in the day is if you wanted to buy the cards, you had to copy and paste the card address into your wallet. So I
Oh my
recall many
gosh.
times setting up a wallet, Curio 1, Curio 2, Curio 3, and very taxing. And once we had the My Curio wallet, I forget who coded it, perhaps Moon, and it was great. It was much easier
That
to
was
use.
Kian.
Oh, Kian, very good.
Yeah, Moon's interesting because Moon was our first fan, right? Moon was like the first person who showed up and said, I like the cards. And then Moon's friend Robeck became like, the fan artist, the community artist. And then Moon ended up doing quite a lot of smart contract development for Curio Cards. The wrapper 4 years ago when Curio Cards was rediscovered, because it's so incredibly old and ancient, like the scrolls are all wrapped up. You can't read it. You can't do anything with it. It won't trade on OpenSea. So they had to make another contract. You can put the card in, like putting the card in a sleeve to be able to trade on an OpenSea. And Moon, our first fan, in the 4 years, he didn't know anything about Ethereum when he first heard about it. He thought it was really cool. Because of Curio Cards, he got really excited about it. He learned Solidity. He became a very talented developer in those 4 years. And by the time it rolled around, he was ready to go to be the developer to make the wrapper for Curio Cards, which is just a fun little getting him in. Yeah.
I wish I had them handy, but some of our very first fan art was created by Robeck, who used the Curio Cards raccoon as his mascot and had him in many strange positions, such as in an alleyway with a suit jacket open,
My
saying,
favorite.
everybody
Yeah.
wants Curio Cards. He was also very serious about Curio Card and New Card Tuesday, saying like, is it New Card Tuesday already? And having a very, like an excitement that we wanted from the rest of the internet, but mainly we got from Robeck.
Yeah. Yeah. Robeck. Well, it's funny because, like you were saying, we were do the live stream and we post the links and say, hey, here's the addresses, come buy the cards. And sometimes somebody would like snipe the links. They'd watch the deployer address. And I think it was Robeck one time actually like got it in there a little bit before the announcement went out and was buying cards before you could even announce them. He was diehard.
Now, you mentioned earlier that curio cards are more like digital prints or maybe baseball cards where a lot of people can own them. You said we printed thousands, 2,000 apples or so. How are curio cards different than, say, like CryptoPunks, where there's one of them, like CryptoPunk with a cigar, and that might be your
Yeah.
avatar, versus like 2,000 apples?
Yeah, so there's 10,000 CryptoPunks, but each one is different. So each one has its own market on something like OpenSea. With Curio Cards, there are 30 cards, and then each one has multiple copies. And those copies range from anywhere from like 100. I think 111 was the smallest run, although some of those were lost. So there's actually even less of them currently available, all the way up to 2,000, maybe even like a little bit over 2,000 for the Apple. All of the supply numbers you can see on the website, curio.cards. So think of it more like Pokemon cards, like they're still, Charizard is still different than Pokemon, Pikachu, but there's also many Pikachus and many Charizards.
And in the end, I think we printed around 30,000 cards with a goal to print more. And it was kind of supposed to be like an everyman card. Like anyone could own one of these. They only cost $1. You could send them around. But as it turned out later, Travis, the prices changed very much, right?
Yeah, so we put up in the vending machines with like 50 cents was like the target price. And back then, Ethereum gas was a fraction of a cent, pennies, maybe 5 cents at the most. So that wasn't really a factor. And Robex cards did sell out back during the original. I think a couple of the other ones did sell out as well. But a lot of them, like Apple, for instance, the vending machine did not completely sell out. It was sitting there open and ready, but it's Ethereum. You can't turn it off. So the vending machine's sitting there. It's got you put the 50 cents in, a card comes out and it's just live. And so when the rediscover happened, we had kept all of the information still online. We had all the addresses, but how to interact with vending machines was still a really kind of weird, complicated thing. You wouldn't want to use the old my Curio wallet with your new modern hardware wallet. So people were on Twitter figuring out how to interact with the smart contracts and pull these cards out. And it was really cool. Is the first guy who figured it out, Aping. He could have just gone ahead and bought all of them and then held the supply. Instead, he bought some and then told other people how to do it, and they could buy as well because he thought it was just so interesting and so cool.
Yes, it would have been over very quickly if he had bought them all or if we had bought them all. But as it turned out, everyone got their chance to buy Curio cards and they quickly sold out. And I think this is a good time to introduce Luis. I don't think we've talked to you in a while. About 4 years ago, Curio cards were rediscovered. And maybe you could just tell us a little bit of how it's changed your life and what you've been up to since then.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've given this talk actually, so maybe I'll start with a little bit of background on myself, right? So
And give it
I've
four
been in the
times.
yeah, I've been doing the crypto thing for I guess about 11 years now. And the NFT art thing was kind of right in the middle of that 11-year period. I wasn't really expecting it to blow up quite as much as it did. And since then I've kind of just been trying to give back as much as I can to the so I'm based in the Philippines, by the way, which is kind of why the time zone difference is so wild for me. And yeah, so I've been spending as much time as I can, as many of my resources as I can to try to give back in some way, shape, or form. One of the first ways that I did that was by starting this little artist community here, where kind of I was redirecting some of the earnings and profits from Curio cards to these underprivileged artists. We had at our peak, we had about 250 of them. Many of them did not have any real meaningful equipment that they could use. Like, many of them were kind of making digital art, but like on their phones, right? With their fingers. Like they didn't even have like styluses or anything like that. So one of the main things we did, and Travis was really instrumental to this as well, we put together like a grant fund, and we lent out up to $500 to each of those kids so that they could buy equipment, right? Whatever equipment they wanted. So like mostly tablets was what they ended up buying because it's a little bit more portable, but a few of them did end up buying like like a beginner computer or whatever, and and then we started guiding them to how to use their skills to actually create art that was sellable on places like OpenSea. And that was like a couple years back now. Since then, I guess you guys already know the NFT industry has somewhat, I guess, like slowed down. But I'd like to think that, a lot of these kids, kind of, it really opened their eyes to what is possible out there with digital art. It wasn't like just a little hobby or side passion thing that they were doing. It was like something that they could actually make money from. And whenever I can, I still try to like hand off little projects to them. Some of the like the more passionate members of that little community of ours. That was called the Crypto Pop Art Guild. And yeah, so anyway, so I try to keep in touch with them as much as I can. But very, very recently, this is the part that's going to be kind of weird, right? So in the Philippines, there is I don't really know how to compare it to anything in the US, but we have a mobile wallet company here called GCash, which is kind of the largest fintech in the Philippines. We have about 94 million users of this one mobile wallet. And 2 years ago, they debuted crypto trading within that's like built in to their main app, and they needed someone to lead the commercial team. So they hired me to kind of take this thing forward. And so now I'm in a position potentially to kind of educate like literally 95% of the country. There's only 100 million Filipinos, right? So if you say that you have 94 million users, you're basically like 100% market penetration at that point. So my job now is like try to figure out how to onboard all of these Filipinos onto crypto, many of them having never seen these things for the first time, right? So like sometimes, so how many weeks away are we from Bitcoin Pizza Day? Like 2 weeks? We're 2 weeks away from Bitcoin Pizza Day. And one of my big, kind of projects is I invite as many of our customers to the Gcash headquarters to kind of meet us in person. And we'll talk a little bit about how, Bitcoin history and all of that stuff. And many of these people have zero like knowledge or any zero background on crypto, right? Their very first Bitcoin they bought via us. And they are, kind of some of them are senior citizens, and they're like, this is all I've got like $50 to spend. I don't know what the hell any of this stuff is, right? So my job is incredibly like, this is like first touch on ramping. And sorry, this is like an incredibly long story, but like, so I got Gcash to sponsor this comic book. So I made this comic book called A Beginner's Guide to Crypto. It's free. You don't buy it. You get it just by attending one of our events, right? And it's like a little FAQ on just how to survive the crypto world. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to read that, but it's got stuff like, buy the dip and be patient and all of that stuff, right? So anyway, so that's what I've been doing. I've still been trying to use as much of my art as I possibly can, but this is kind of a little bit more it's not really art for art's sake anymore. It's art with a real kind of intent. And yeah, I'd like to say that I really found my rhythm via things like NFT art and via my curio cards, because it was kind of at that moment that a lot of these things started to fall into place for me, both in terms of my confidence in the industry, and also kind of it allowed me to find some financial footing when Curio Cards was rediscovered in 2021, to kind of let me kind of make some decisions that were a little bit more long term about how I wanted to contribute to the industry. So yeah, I'm forever going to be grateful to the project. Yeah, sorry, that was an incredibly I know that got rambly,
No,
but
it's
there you
great.
go. Yeah, there was a lot to dump.
I'm really excited to hear about that recent news you had around in that the magazine. Education was for me, it was a primary goal with Curio Cards. The one of the things that started the brainstorming process in the first place was the question of how do we get more people interested in Bitcoin and crypto, and
Mhm.
how artists could be an incredible, valuable ally to have in that process, because they're really good at explaining things to people. And to hear you now continue on in that role is just fantastic.
Yeah, no, I mean it's kind of incredible how these things tend to build off of each other, I guess. So you kind of have these, I guess in a way, there is this thing in just business, right? Where success tends to beget success, where you have like you are able to kind of, luck out on one kind of level, and then because you build on top of that, and kind of the next level is even higher or has more opportunity than the last one. And yeah, I mean, I guess I'll always kind of call some of it luck. I don't think I'm gonna like attribute it to just like, I don't know what the skill. I don't know. Some of this stuff is definitely luck and randomness and all of that stuff. But I guess what matters is what you do with it, right? What you do with that randomness. Can you use it and apply it to make something greater? And I guess that continues to be the goal.
Well, Napoleon said that luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Oh, thank you.
So if you
Yeah,
were in the
there you
right
go.
position,
Yeah.
you're ready for it.
Yeah,
And
when you showed up at the meetup event and we first met you, um, you were already a crypto artist. That's why we're like, hey, Crypto Pop should be one of the crypto artists.
Yeah,
It's you had been doing it. So it's like
right,
the luck of being at the right meetup where we happen to be talking about it, but also just who you were.
right. Right. Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, I'll
and
always be grateful.
you create your own opportunities. Like I remember, like Travis saying, we'd see you every time Bitcoin would go up $100. There'd be a Kool-Aid man jumping through something, or
Oh
the
yeah.
old dog
Yeah, you
sticking
can't do
himself
that
in,
now.
and that kind of thing. Now I know you'd be too busy, and you'd be drawing all the time, kind of speed drawing. But I really
Yep.
like what you said about teaching the artists how to use NFTs and getting these skills out, even if the NFT things goes up and down or Axie Infinity doesn't work out. I think it's so
Right.
important to get them these skills. I remember back when I had email in 1994, I didn't really have anyone to email, but I learned how to email, and I sent emails, and I canceled them, and I replied all, and I learned all of these things really early. And I think in the same way that the sooner you can learn about Bitcoin, Ethereum, sending around curio cards, making mistakes with Ethereum or Bitcoin and curio cards, making hopefully small mistakes, the sooner you can get to that higher level of being proficient at these things.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And
It's
then,
also,
yeah, next thing you know, you're selling at Christie's.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
I
I
know.
honestly
How
no
does it
idea
feel?
what
Like,
to do about that one.
I think you might.
You are a Christie's New York artist.
That's
I
right.
was
I
like,
think you might have been the
holy
first
shit.
Filipino artist, and then at one point, I think that the curio card sales were outpacing the entire Filipino art market that year.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For that year. So for 2021, Curio Cards outsold the country of the Philippines in terms of art. Just art, not digital art, like art in general. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's wild.
how the hell am I going to explain this to any of my art school professors? Like, there's
And
no
also
one who
just like,
would believe me.
and it speaks to the power of what you can do with networks like Ethereum and Bitcoin, that you don't have to be in the art world in New York to have such an impact. You just show up online.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's incredible. Incredible.
Literally a project that we launched out of my apartment in San Francisco and Rhett's apartment wherever he programmed it. Travis and I were there launching it, and Rhett
Yeah.
coded it. That's
I remember
it.
we used the whiteboard in Rhett's. Rhett had a whiteboard in his apartment on his wall because he's hardcore, and we used that whiteboard for a lot of the core features in the card contract, like the fact it uses IPFS hashes for the images. So it's not just a link to a web server; the art is in there, the reference to it. That was on a whiteboard in Rhett's apartment.
And that just seemed obvious to us at the time. We didn't want
Yeah.
to
Well, we
something
had just been to an
go
IP.
away.
I don't know if you were there too. There was an IPFS presentation at the San Francisco developers meetup
I'd been
like the week
watching it for
before.
years, and I was excited when it was finally usable. And I think
Mhm.
I watched it back when it was still called Interplanetary File System. I think
Yeah.
it's something
Really,
less exciting. Yeah,
before they shortened it.
yeah.
It
But
all kind of came available at the right moment. The artists were there, was there. We had the community there, and we wanted to do more outreach. We wanted to reach more people, and we were doing that. Yeah, it was just a good confluence of events. And Lewis, you showed up at the right time. Well, you were already part of crypto, but you were at the meetup at the right time.
unlike you say,
Yeah, yeah.
Travis, at the meetup, we were one at a time in it. People were coming in, we were shaking their hands, telling them about Bitcoin. Random people at the bar, we were telling them
Yeah.
about Bitcoin. They were coming back because we had free drinks, that kind of thing. But then we had a couple of the art shows with our friend Crypto Graffiti and those
Yeah.
kind of things where the art and the meetup started to mix together. And I think that lends well to Max Infeld, who's joining us. Max worked as Marisol Vengus on this project. Max, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about how you created your art pieces and what you've been up to since the Curio Cards rediscovery.
Yeah, sounds good. Oh man, I'm so happy to be here and great to see all you guys. Yeah, so my crypto journey started out very early. I started making currency in communities, and currency by I mean like making art with other people and storing that as value. And I was like obsessed with this concept. How do you make like the viewer on the same level as the artist? So there's this like symmetrical exchange of value. And I always thought like I was very critical of like in art school. Most of us curio artists, I think, actually went to art school, strangely enough. And anyway, I learned that like, you know, you're supposed to put your stuff on pedestals, you're supposed to frame it a certain way, put it in a white box. And so I was like, I'm going to do everything the opposite. So I made my own currency system in like 2007, gave out paper money, tried to get engagement, you know, trying to get random strangers invested in my art project and distributing performances and just the whole thing. And so when
Now, at
yeah,
one point,
yeah.
Max, I think you were distributing viral monetary units, and they were very similar to the dollar. And what was especially neat about them is that they were serialized. Each one had its own number that you had stamped on there individually, right?
Yeah, that was from 2007 and it had a ledger. So this predates like Bitcoin significantly and extremely um, kind of random too. That when Bitcoin came out, I saw it as a joke, especially you know around Mount Gox time. Like, oh yeah, this has to be a joke. Like it's on this like Magic the Gathering site, you know. Yeah, so I got exposed to Bitcoin super early. Huge fan of rare peppies. I had a bunch of those, and so when I uh, I heard about this submission process through Tom, being a mutual friend. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna enter. And I think I submitted like 5 aliases, and I can't confirm or deny what other ones were mine. But the one that was accepted was Marisol Vengas, and Marisol Vengas is a distributed community of people that made this art. So it was like kind of the most fitting out of all the ones I submitted. And so there was like a group of people that would like print off these images off Google. They would like another group would color them in, some would refine the compositions, and someone would assemble the art. And the original prices of these things were like $10 or $20 in a coffee shop. So yeah, that's kind of
And
how that came about.
what's the amount of
Yeah.
size of these pieces? Are they very large? Are they
Oh,
very small?
yeah, yeah, very small, like probably like index card size or smaller. Kind of, they're all super unique.
It's
And
my
yeah,
background's super blurry for some reason, but I actually have three of them here. Yeah, they're like a deck of playing cards.
yeah. What's kind of funny is that I'd sold most of those in like coffee shop shows, and there was a huge cache of them that I had left in Portland that I forgot about. And I ended up getting a ton of them back and then just like giving them out to community members
Yeah,
as gifts.
very
And
generously. Yeah, I got
yeah,
these from
and
you.
for sure. And then selling a ton of them. I mean, that was insane. And after Christie's and Sotheby's, like it was. I mean, I never sold physical art because most of my art is like social engagement based. It's not a very high selling point to be like I make interactive art. Like, and a lot of the time we don't really have a product. And so yeah, that was definitely life changing. To be able to be part of that and experience it. Yeah, led to tons of opportunities, meeting tons of other people, and yeah, to this day, it's so crazy to go to an NFT conference and like people own my art. Like, oh yeah, like I have some of that. Like that's a crazy story. I had to pick up some of that. And then yeah, today I'm still working on my own project. I'm solving a bunch of problems that I've truly despised about crypto, and even in the real world. So I'm building a project where yeah, like how trying to solve the problem, like how do you really store community value that is not susceptible to like a dollar rug attack, where like dollars are hypothecated into like they're printing more than actually exists through different stable coins, and they can really manipulate community currencies. And I think I came up with a novel solution. So I'm focused on that. And yeah, it's a game, so I'm using a lot of game dynamics and all my art skills too. It's kind of like an art game. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter if anyone's interested in solving problems like that. But yeah, so it's truly great to be here and see all your guys' faces. And yeah, here's to another 10 more years of Curio. Wait, how many years? Seems like longer.
It's been 8 years. 8 years.
Yeah,
8 years?
eight.
Oh man. It's
Almost
But
only
eight.
you're
eight? Oh
mentioning
man.
Tom mentioned we had the art show the year before, so 9 from that, but that one wasn't on chain. That was the in-person art show.
And
It seems
Mac,
pretty
I know
insane. It's yeah.
we've talked about this before, but I know we talked to some of your fellow art students about the possibility of some days getting into Christie's or Sotheby's. I think you all probably thought it would be after your death. So what was it like to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
young man that is in Christie's and Sotheby's? And I'll probably ask Luis as well. Go ahead, Max.
Oh yeah, it was like an ongoing joke. I even said this out loud to my friends, and I know I've said this on other shows, but yeah, we would joke like, oh man, one day, because we were so prolific. We did like dozens of projects. I've done like, a dozen aliases and with all different names, and it's just like I'm like, wouldn't it be crazy if we ever got into Christie's before
Ridiculous.
yeah, yeah, before. And so when it like actually happened, I'm like, hey, like this happened while I was living. Like this is unbelievable. And yeah, just seeing like it's a mixed feeling. I really feel like it's such a rare thing, but I also feel like it's just exposure, and they really didn't get to know us. I feel like they needed us more than we needed them, like they were trying to move into that digital domain and stuff. But I'm critical of them, but at the same time, it was pretty cool.
I do
I mean,
wish
it's neat to have a guy with a gavel saying your name, right? I mean, that's wild. The
Yeah.
gavel got me. I remember that. It was just, and he was doing the talking, and he had the whole auctioneer vibe. It was great.
It was rough, and it's too bad as you see in the picture in that video that we showed. I think Noah, non-fungible Noah, was there, and he's wearing the COVID mask. It was just towards the end of COVID. It wasn't quite safe to travel yet. It's really too bad we weren't all able to go there, be there in person,
Yeah,
support the
what a big
projects.
party.
See that little room where they put us on the wall and stuff. It was
And
really,
it was in New York too, which was just shut down.
yep. And it's funny, a little while later, I was able to go to a Christie's art gallery or whatever in the UK in London. And I'm looking at all these like signed Hemingway books and all these just fantastic Milton old first editions and stuff. And I think to myself, those curio cards we made sold in here too. How about that? So Luis, same question as Max. You're a young man. You sold in Christie's and Sotheby's. What is that like? Just to let the audience know a little.
I was kind of worried that I would maybe like die the next year or something because like it happened a lot earlier in my career than I was expecting. But yeah, like especially from the Philippines, right? Because I was looking this up the year that we sold, and I realized that there's only about 3 or 4 Filipino artists that were living that had been um auctioned off at Christie's in New York. I don't know them personally, right? But I know their names that we've studied them in school, and they were still alive at the time. But there was only like 2 or 3 of them, I think, and most of the other ones that ever had been auctioned there had long past expired, right? They were like from the 70s or so. So it was pretty crazy to see it, and I guess as I think about it again now, that is such a freaking crypto thing to happen, isn't it? Because like only in crypto would the variance on your outcomes be as wild as, you could lose all of your money, or you could end up having work auctioned at the most, prestigious auction house in the world. Like the variance on that is so wide that I don't actually know how to like what is the expected value of the next thing that we do, I wonder. Because it's just like anywhere from
That's wild.
0 to 100,000
Well,
is
because
kind of the
when they were in the vending machine, they were like 25, 50 cents, and we
yeah.
couldn't sell them. And
Yep.
then $1 million at Christie's a couple
Yeah.
years later.
I was going to
Yeah.
say
That's your crypto swing right there. The
we were
value
we were a
change.
busted startup. We were worried that
Yeah.
we'd wasted Rhett's time, wasted Travis's time. I felt bad. I was in
Thought I
charge
wasted the artist's time.
artist time as well. Everybody, all the Roback, everybody. 4 years later, all of a sudden people
Yeah.
find it, they love it, they build the wrapper, the Christie's, OpenSea, all this stuff. It's an incredible turnaround. I talked to Adam
Yeah.
C. Adam McBride, sorry about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I've never heard of a startup that's done this before. Like, you guys didn't
Yeah.
do anything in those 4 years. It was off. It pretty much sat there, like in the
Yeah.
vending machine. If anything, we made them harder to buy. Travis took the addresses down for our protection. We didn't want people to buy worthless things. We felt bad enough for anyone
Yeah.
else that bought our worthless
Yeah.
stuff.
It
you know?
would the
Well,
website was up
what
and it was in the Internet Archive, but I took down the one that you would send money to, and you could still like find it in the Git history. Um, but I don't want people sending money at it and then being like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? We haven't done that in years." Because they still worked. You can't turn the vending machines off. I remember wanting to turn them off and being unable to. Good thing I couldn't.
what's crazy, I was thinking like, what if it was successful back in 2017? Because there was all these like ICO like shitcoin scams going on. I'm like, well, what if it was popular back then? Would it still be popular in 2021? It's like maybe not, because the authenticity levels would have been different off, like people would have perceived it differently. So I kind of wonder if like
Well,
there was success, if
it's
it still
also
would have carried over.
it's a supply thing. It's a supply thing, right? The fact people could buy them in 2021 was a big deal. They were there and they were available. Most of the cards that were bought in 2017 are lost because people would put them in wallets that were just like a file you downloaded to your computer. And like it's in your downloads folder. You ain't keeping that. So a lot of the curio cards that were bought in 2017 have been inactive since 2017 and are lost. So the supply would have been just way difficult to get your hands on if they'd sold out then.
It would have been very interesting, though, if we could have kept going 6 to 9 months more. We would have run into CryptoPunks. We would have run into OpenSea. It's possible that we
And
could have
X
taken
Copy
part.
was the next artist to release. He was going to be the next artist. X Copy. We had his art all submitted and ready to go, but we just no one was buying him, so we had to stop. It was just cost and money. Um, and but then 4 years later, we wouldn't have people like Ethereum be able to jump on and buy the cards and interact. It would have been this dead project.
That one hurts a little bit because those X copy pieces seem to be going for millions of dollars a piece.
Yes.
If we had one of those and we'd printed 20 or 100 copies of it, that would have been incredible. But like you said, Travis, I'd like to welcome Etheread into the show. Just as a fan looking at this from afar, what do you think about the Curio Cards' 8th birthday and what you've heard so far?
I was as well taken aback that it's as far away from the actual initial project being launched to where we are today from the discovery. So I first learned about Curio Cards during the discovery time. I'd learned about NFTs about 6 months earlier. So in March of that year, before you all sold at Christie's, I had minted some random GIF of or GIF of the Ethereum logo that was moving around, and in the description it had like the Ethereum white paper in it, and I thought that would be a good first NFT. And I found it on OpenSea, and I thought, oh, cool, the Ethereum network it now has a use. This is cool, and it was like $30 to download this or to transfer this free NFT, and I'm like, nope, it's not ready yet. Like this is, and I didn't know too much about it. I'd still just been kind of watching what was going on in the crypto world and maybe investing a little bit here and there, trying to learn and stuff. But then I saw the action at Christie's, and that's what really caught my attention. I was in the Discord that weekend. I bought my first Curio card that weekend, number 7, the Thinker, because I felt like that was representative of like, I need to learn more about this. And I thought it was so interesting that the community came back at that time. That you have this historical project, but then you have the artists and the founder coming back and being involved at this point. And of course, it made sense because of the sale and the excitement around it. But the spirit of what the project was when it first started felt alive when I came back. And I had to do some digging to even learn about the project. It's not a project that was front of mind with all of the craziness of NFT until you dug a little bit, and then the story kept getting more and more and more interesting the more you learned about the project. And jumping in the Discord and asking questions, I was learning more and more about everything in general. And I thought I need to start contributing. And that's when I was talking to Travis and others, and like, how can I jump in? Is there a project that we can do something like that? And I kind of settled on merch, and I wanted a hoodie, so I made a hoodie. And to make it sort of related, we within the Shopify website, they had a plugin where you could do you have to sign, make sure you have the NFT before you're able to purchase the item. Nobody bought it, right? Curio, yeah, it was token gated, and no one wanted to take the wallet where they had their Curio cards at this point and connect it to a Shopify website, which is fair at that point in time.
Yeah. Well, there's the news, people losing Bored Apes every week.
That's right. That's right. So not a very well thought out plan at the time. But again, it was under the same spirit of just experimenting with, what can we do with this technology and what might this look like? And how can I jump in and learn and come alongside a project that has that same spirit? So that's really what caught me. I spent a long time developing the cards, which I think is the big excitement right now, way too long. So now I can't believe it's 4 years later since the idea first came about, and I've got the cards delivered last year as a Kickstarter, and then again we did a second reprint, which I have them sitting here. There they are. So if you ordered on the Kickstarter, you got the original set, which has just created by the Curio DAO, and then if you want more cards now, those first ones are still collectible. So all the cards have that second print on them. So there's still a little bit of collectability for that first set. But yeah, it was just a fun way also kind of to give back a little bit in a way for everything that I had learned, and do something exciting. So
That's very cool, Etheread. And also, like you said, the cards also have a AR effect. I'm not sure if it's in this video, but here's a little bit. When you hold the phone over the card, like the apple pops out at you. It's a really neat effect.
That's right. And I used many of the 3D models or started from the 3D models from the Curio Snow Globe project that was done. So again, in that spirit of collaboration is finding that starting place. Wow. and a nod to other work that's been done.
So it's very cool.
Speaking of the Snow Globe project, something else came out of that as well. So the Snow Globe project, people don't know, was a couple years after the recovery. We were doing these remixes where fans would make their version of Curio cards. And one very talented 3D modeler made every single card in 3D and put them inside of snow globes and released them through the DAO. And you could like get individual snow globes and merge them together. And from that, there's the 3D models of the acorns and the apples. But also included in that was a 3D model of Curio, the raccoon, the mascot. And Tom, if you have it here, Nifty Island had reached out to us. They're a NFT video game about having Curio be in the game as a playable character. And these are our first bits that we just got from them. This is kind of a sneak peek for when he's a playable character. The video is a little jerky for me, but we'll post these in the Discord. Yeah, but you can run around as Curio. This is still very early, but soon.
That is so cool. That's incredible.
Sick. That's sick.
Yeah, I'll drop the videos in the Discord right now. I don't know if everyone else is seeing it smooth or jerky on the Zoom.
No, it's fine, Travis. Your internet's a little slow, but it looks incredible. It looks like a video game. He's in a full 3D environment. If you're watching,
wearing his suit.
He's wearing his
tux.
Tuxedo. He's well dressed. He's kind of jumping and hopping. He's got the Curio Cards face, and it's just pretty amazing. He'll be in this video game. What kind of video game is it, Travis? Does it use NFTs or any kind of thing like that?
Yes, it's called Nifty Island. You find them on Twitter, and it's kind of like a grab bag of all different NFT projects. So people they have avatars for representing all different projects. So people a fan of any kind of NFT can interact in the space as their NFT that they like. You can have objects in the game that are from NFTs. It's just a very Web3 forward game. It'll be really fun when you can run around as Curio in it.
Well, that sounds great, and that's a fantastic new project to tell people about. Of course, you can always learn more about Curio Cards at curio.cards, our webpage that has the wrapper. You can wrap or unwrap your cards if you want to have the original versions of your cards. And of course, Curio Cards are for sale on OpenSea, where they range in price. Some of them cost 20 Ethereum or 15, at least a listed price, going all the way down to maybe a 0.125 or a 0.14, something like that. So there are some still kind of affordable Curio Cards out there. It is pretty neat that, like Travis said, we sold them at $1 a piece or a quarter a piece, and the cheapest one is almost a tenth of an Ethereum. That's got to be like $200 or so. So that's neat that anyone who held and didn't lose their keys kind of made some money, or theoretically could have made some money on their Curio Cards.
I'm curious if there's a better deal currently available for art that is sold at Christie's. I'm not sure if there is.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I mean, it's a pretty rare group of artists, and usually it's the single piece, like the painting would be sold. Very rarely can you go out and buy like a subset or a piece of that painting. Like Travis said, perhaps if you hold an apple, you hold 1/2000th of the great apple, which
you're in the Apple Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the range of prices I think is also just really nice for people wanting to get involved in NFTs, because it's a project that has those really expensive pieces, but then there's also some more common cards. Another word, more frequency is higher. So yeah, it's a little easier to get into, and you kind of participate in any whatever range you want.
And we certainly don't want to give investment advice here, but as far as I judge collectibles, I always look for the oldest ones. I look for older baseball cards. I look for older comic books. Generally, on a just general scale, they're worth more. So in that way, there are very few 2017 NFTs. Ourselves, Curio Cards, CryptoPunks, Mooncats, Etheria. I'm forgetting one, but something like that. There's about 5 or 10. And in my mind, those 5 or 10 are blue chip investments. I mean, you can do what you want with your money, but if you're looking to get in this art space, and again, it could go down 100% from here. I'm notoriously terrible with this, but I think it's a cool thing, and you can buy them and you can sell them, and that's one of the things.
They're always mint condition.
Yeah, absolutely. They're never lost.
You always want your collectibles. They got to be old and in good condition. These are in excellent condition.
no corners turned on the cards. And yeah, it's really neat. We always wanted a marketplace like this where people could buy and sell them back in the day, even though it would have been for far less money and far less fees and so forth. It's really neat to see them trading today on OpenSea. And every once in a while, I get that little message, or I look in the Discord and I see that some more cards have sold. And I just think it's so neat that our little project is still being traded, even in the smallest of ways. And every once in a while, someone buys my face, Mad Bitcoins, very, very rarely number 21 or the 23 or Travis or Rhett's cards.
Yeah, Tom, you got
Very
two
expensive
cards,
card.
Tom. You got 21 and you got 20.
I lucked out, man. I'm very lucky. Two of my faces, and whenever I see the pictures, like I was going to say, we're not quite in an NFT textbook like Luis was mentioning. The other Filipino artists that have sold in Christie's, maybe they'll list us 1, 2, 3, 4 someday. But it was
that giant. Did you get that giant NFT book?
I got
it on my shelf over here.
Books. Oh, you can see it, Chaz. Oh, bring it in here, Chaz. Don't hurt yourself. That is a heavy.
Oh.
This is Taschen. They're a big German printing company, and they make these huge books. And as Travis is saying, we were so lucky to be included in this book. And
wow, that's a crazy book.
They're sort of like the art table, not even like a coffee table, like the art table people. And they just have these absolutely enormous books full of art. And we're in here. We're in the timeline. You can see how early we are on the timeline before CryptoPunks and everyone else. And there's also a full spread about the cards as well. And it's the largest book I own by quite a wide margin.
By far,
I just want to mention, being a living artist in a Taschen book is like absolutely bonkers too. Like that's one of those things. Like it's like, oh no, this is like etched in stone, because those books are like every university, every library. Like it's a huge deal to be a living artist in those books. Yeah.
I think the current version that Travis has there is called the baby sumo size of the book. They have a couple larger sizes going up to, I think, collectible editions, maybe costing $5,000. Far too rich for my blood. I think there's a $50 small version coming out soon. I have a pre-order in for that on Amazon.
Mine is not the highest price one, but the one that comes in a metal case.
Yeah, this is heavy. Case, and then beyond that, they have custom cover editions. And like I always predicted, they did a great job. They included their own custom NFTs with the project, as you would expect. Maybe not quite as collectible as CURIO cards, but still a step in the right direction. I think NFTs are cool. Also, we're very excited. We were featured in the NFT yearbook. Not quite as big as Taschen, but a very cool project put on by some very cool people to celebrate NFTs. And it's really cool when they feature us in these books. It really bums me out when they don't feature us in these books. Even just a mention or a paragraph or a couple lines would be fine, but it bums me out when they go right from like Pepe's to CryptoPunks or whatever and skip over us. But it's fantastic. We've had the recognition we've had and so forth, especially with no advertising or no company behind us, no major sellouts or crashes or anything like that. So Ethereum, more on this. Anything you can think of about the CURIO cards? What do you think about that big book Travis has there?
I'm trying to find our page, but I don't even know how to work this thing.
Yeah, I think it's not going to stay as mint. Oh, whoa. Okay. Wow.
Here they are. Oof, the full spread. It's insanely heavy. I can't even.
Has a little essay at the bottom. Has the names of all the artists. And it's very cool.
It is very cool.
I'm just looking at the artists' names right now. Yeah. It's great.
Yet it still won't stay as fresh as the original CURIO cards will.
It is quite something. I always have a little set of the physical cards that you made, and I always show them to people because they can understand that way what they are.
Yeah.
And I have to explain to them that these are you're worth a little bit, but there's these strange digital signature versions that don't really exist, and those are worth thousands of dollars, all kinds of things. It's so weird.
I thought about putting the tagline of "These won't stay mint fresh for their whole life" on it, but decided not to. Almost did.
I've got
the timeline. It's a 3-page spread. Like it unfolds.
Oh wow!
It's a 3-page spread, and we're way over on the first one. Way at the beginning.
It's pretty cool.
All right.
It's just great.
That's too heavy for me.
And as Travis has said, we were always fans of Spells of Genesis, and Rare Pepes that came before us. And we just wanted to
Yeah.
do something similar. With Rhett's help, we were able to do this on the Ethereum blockchain. And fortunately, they never deleted Ethereum. It stayed up, and that way our cards were still available 4 years later. And now they're still here 4 years beyond that. So maybe just as we close, we'll think about the future of Curio Cards. Travis, what do you think it'll be like in 4 years or in 8 years from now?
You know, the Tashman book. I mean, that's the definitive book. They're not they're going to put another one out. Well, I hope that we do this. We keep doing these. It's really great to be able to see everyone. We got to do one of these in person at a certain point.
The 10th
This is like a
anniversary, Travis.
yeah, there you go. Because the Christie's, we had to do it online because it was New York was shut down. It was right when COVID was happening. And how fun would it be to do one of those in person? Maybe even the auction anniversary instead of just Curio's anniversary. Because some options for dates. We could do a Curio anniversary or the auction anniversary.
That might be fun. That's a good idea. We should have the Curio Cards people work on it. Remember, if you want to be more involved in Curio Cards, we have a great Discord. The link is on curio.cards on the webpage. Luis, what do you think Curio Cards will be like in 4 to 8 years?
I mean, I'd like to be able to continue like doing these yearly things with you guys because it's nice to kind of keep catching up this way, but we definitely need to do something in person, right? I think for the 10th year, we should try to figure out how to all kind of fly in or something. I think most of you guys are kind of West Coast, so it's one flight for me. So I think that might be doable if it was like so
I
it'll be
wouldn't
like
mind visiting
May.
the Philippines.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. I mean, that's wonderful also. But, kind of this time of year, I wouldn't mind like traveling somewhere a little bit colder. Just a little bit colder would be nice. So yeah, May 2027, that would be pretty sick if we could do something in person, I think.
That sounds great. Let's
Near.
work on planning that.
How,
And
how
then
old do
Hey,
raccoons usually live?
hey, Luis, if you can make it out to Bitcoin Vegas, I got a ticket for you if you're interested.
Oh,
And
really?
it's cold. Yeah, it's cold. It's air conditioned everywhere.
Okay, thanks.
it's cold as long as you're inside. So let's go to
Wonderful.
Max. Max, what do you think Curio Cards will be like in 4 to 8 years?
Oh man, I'm still hoping for kind of like a more community spin-offs and remixes. I really wish there was like some platform with like micro games around Curios. That was kind of my dream. I still think that's my dream is to see a lot of like fractional Curio games or something or Curio Casino or something. I mean, I don't know. I'm open to whatever. Yeah, so more of that, more community engagement, more artist spin-offs. More bootlegs, more cool merch, scavenger hunts. I could keep going, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
people go. I think it's remixes.curio.cards. They can see some of the remix singular remix.curio.cards. You can see some of the bootleg cards, as it were, the community involvement, people just taking it and making it their own.
And I just want to add that a lot of us had our own strategy on how to like officiate those. It was so cool to see how other people brought new people in to remix those and generate those. I mean, that's a whole extremely long discussion that we
Ooh, I
can
like
maybe
that.
have next time. But yeah, it's cool to see how
The
we
yeah,
approved them and such. But yeah, there's some beautiful pieces. Yeah.
I hadn't seen the Daniel Friedman ones with color. That's great.
That's very cool. You can check that out at remix.curio.cards, like Travis was saying. Like Max was saying, I would like to see it in a video game as well. I've always had that idea. Maybe the 1 through 5 cards are kind of like the Infinity Stones, and you want to get all 5 of them, and then you get really powerful if you own these Curio cards. They could do the same thing for Mooncats and CryptoPunks, kind of a NFT collector's game that also has a
Wait,
video game element.
and now that we'll have the Curio avatar in Nifty Island, we can take a closer look at that. I think they do some interesting NFT integrations as well.
We're going to have our own version of Ultima Online any day now. And then finally, Etheread, who's joining us. What do you think Curio Cards will be like in 4 to 8 years? Max has mentioned community involvement. Luis wants to meet in person. What do you think?
I want to see more. It's just such a welcoming community to those who want to experiment and test and learn. I want to see more people discover it as they try to learn about, digital collectibles, smart contracts, or just, you know, like to experiment in general. It's a great place to come learn. And I've met some new friends here, and I'm hoping that we can find some other folks to keep pushing the boundaries, similar to how Max said, in new different ways, scavenger hunts and whatnot. So who knows? As Luis said earlier, it's quite literally endless what the possibilities could be.
Like America said in their classic song, what happened to my video? Everything's gone. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. That Oz didn't give nothing to the Tin Man that he didn't already have. And I think with Curio Cards and really any of my projects, you have to remember that no one told me that I had to be mad Bitcoins. No one said, this is your job, you need to do this every day. I decided to do it every day. I showed up for 600 daily episodes over the first 2 years. I created the World Crypto Network with the help of Travis and Rhett. We created Curio Cards and we put it out there. And if you have a project, you can't just keep it to yourself. You have to share it. You have to put it out there. Maybe it's not going to be a great success. Maybe no one's going to care. And that certainly happened with many of my early projects. But then somehow 5 years later, they're all great. So if you didn't make them 5 years ago, they wouldn't be here now. And remember the lesson of Lord of the Rings, that and the real books, not the movie, that you can't just stay at home. That evil will come to home too. You have to go out into the world and make good. And that's what I think Travis and Rhett and I tried to do, helping the artists, trying to connect them to the digital things that we knew about. We knew about cryptocurrencies. They knew about art. We came together to make this project. And I think that a lot of the kind of the honesty that we put in the project and the truth of it, especially things like putting all the cards in the vending machine. The company owned no cards. We had no promo cards, no pre-mined cards. If Travis and I wanted cards, we had to buy them from the vending machine like everyone else. And I think that kind of honesty to your project rings true eventually. And so if you're out there,
and all the money in the vending machines went to the artists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it worked out really well. And yeah, it just turned out amazing in the end that we were rediscovered. And that, like they say in Sunset Boulevard or whatever, you like us, you really like us. And it was a great moment for our startup to go from zero to huge success. So I think that was fantastic. Travis, is there anything else you'd like to say? I think we're going to head towards the end of it. It's very hot in here, probably hot in the Philippines as well. So.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. This is just great to hang out, and looking forward to do this more often.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody for joining us. If you're joining us, you can always rewind the Twitter Spaces, go back to the beginning. This whole show will be on the World Crypto Network and worldcryptonetwork.com if you want to check it out with the video. And we had some screen share action there. And yeah, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Push that share button. And thanks for joining us. And until next time, bye.